The small cafe was warm, filled with the scent of fresh coffee and baked pastries. At a corner table, an elderly man in a faded military jacket sat quietly, sipping his coffee. His name was Arthur, a retired veteran who had seen more in his lifetime than most could imagine. He wasn't rich, but he carried himself with dignity. His hands, rough from years of service, held the cup delicately as he looked around, enjoying the peaceful morning. Just then the door swung open, and a sharply dressed man walked in, his expensive shoes clicking against the tiled floor. His name was Victor, a wealthy businessman known for his arrogance. He barely glanced at Arthur as he walked past, instead focusing on his phone. When he reached the counter, he snapped his fingers at the barista. "Black coffee, make it quick," he ordered, not even looking up. The young barista hurried to prepare his order, but Victor's gaze soon landed on Arthur. He smirked, taking in the old jacket and worn-out boots. "Well, well," Victor said loudly, making sure everyone heard. "Didn't know this place served relics from the past." A few people looked up, uncomfortable, but no one spoke. Arthur ignored the comment, stirring his coffee with a steady hand. But Victor wasn't done. "Tell me, old man," he continued, sitting down at the next table, "do they give discounts to veterans here, or are you waiting for someone to buy you a coffee?" A soft chuckle came from a nearby table. Arthur finally looked up, his eyes calm but piercing. Before he could respond, the cafe door opened again. This time it was Keanu Reeves. Keanu walked in casually, dressed in his usual simple attire. Nothing flashy, yet his presence alone carried weight. He had come in for a quiet coffee, but the tension in the room immediately caught his attention. He saw the arrogant businessman leaning back, smirking at Arthur, who remained composed despite the disrespect. Keanu's sharp eyes took in the situation quickly. He grabbed his coffee from the counter, but instead of sitting elsewhere, he walked straight to Arthur's table. "Mind if I join you?" Keanu asked, his voice calm but firm. Arthur looked at him and gave a small nod. Victor scoffed. "Oh, great. A washed-up actor sitting with a washed-up soldier. What a sight." A few gasps came from the other customers. The air grew thick with tension. Keanu didn't react to Victor's insult. Instead, he turned to Arthur. "Sir, what's your name?" "Arthur," the old man replied. Keanu smiled. "Arthur, that's a strong name. What branch did you serve in?" Arthur's expression softened. "Army. Served for 30 years. Keanu nodded with deep respect. 30 years of service. That's real dedication." Victor rolled his eyes. "Oh, please. What's the point? The past is the past. No one cares about old war stories." Keanu finally turned to Victor, his expression unreadable. "That's where you're wrong," he said evenly. Keanu leaned forward slightly, locking eyes with Victor. "You see that jacket he's wearing? It's not just an old piece of fabric. It represents years of sacrifice, courage, and dedication. Things money can't buy." Victor chuckled, shaking his head. "Sacrifice? Courage. That's just a fancy way of saying wasted years. While he was out playing soldier, I was building my empire. And look at us now. I can buy anything I want, and he's sitting here in the same boots he probably wore 20 years ago." A heavy silence fell over the cafe. Even the barista behind the counter stopped working, watching intently. Keanu remained calm, but his voice carried weight. "And yet, despite all your wealth, you're sitting here trying to belittle a man who protected your right to be exactly who you are. Ungrateful." Victor scoffed but didn't respond. Keanu wasn't finished. "You measure success in dollars, but real success isn't about money. It's about character. Arthur here has more wealth in his heart and experience than you ever will." Arthur, who had stayed silent, finally spoke. "I don't need anyone's approval," he said quietly. "I did what I did because it was right, not for recognition." Keanu nodded. "And that's exactly why you deserve it." Keanu then stood up and walked to the counter. "How much is the bill for everyone here?" The barista hesitated. About $300 in total." Keanu handed over his card without hesitation. "I'll cover it, and add a few pastries to go for Mr. Arthur here." Gasps filled the cafe. Victor scoffed. "Oh, trying to play hero now?" Keanu turned to him. "Number just trying to remind people what real heroes look like." The barista handed Keanu a coffee and a bag filled with fresh pastries. He walked back to Arthur, placing them gently in front of him. For a true veteran, Keanu said. Arthur looked at him, eyes filled with gratitude. Thank you, son, he said quietly. Keanu simply nodded. Then he turned back to Victor. You know, money can buy a lot of things, but it can't buy respect. And right now you're bankrupt. The calf,